I will be skipping Kafka, which at this point isn't a shocker. She's a character I've been hyping up to this point, and the playstyle she brings is very refreshing and unique. But what deters me from rolling for a character I've been hyping up for this long? Let me explain. She's a Nihility based damaging character. Although that's not fair to the other Nihility characters as each of them also do plenty of damages, she works as a team enabler that can be used as a self-sufficient damaging character. So basically you can use her as you see fit. Pause though. Kafka works very well with buffers such as Tingyum, Bronya, and Asta. She works really well with debuffers like Silverwolf, Pela, and dot-based characters like Sampo, who also count as a debuffer, all of which makes her a very flexible character who can be used with many of your favorite characters and ones you've already put investments into. So with all this in mind, why the heck am I skipping this flexible powerhouse? That's a really good question. Kafka can detonate dots, which ideally sets her apart from the current dot characters in the game. She's more of a serval that can detonate her and her team's dots. What makes this even more interesting is that she can double proc the detonation of the dots on the enemy in a single turn if she has access to both her ultimate and her elemental skill. Previously, we compared her to a character like Nilu, who works virtually the same way. Both characters work as a team enabler, whom also have a function in their kits that no other characters in their respective games can do. The investment level and barrier to entry for both characters and their best teams is the lowest of any characters, as said before, in their respective games, due to needing only the easiest to obtain main stats and substats also. Attack percent for Kafka works really well, and that's pretty much all you need in terms of main stats. Speed main stat for boots is very good for the character. Lightning damage boost is really good. You don't need the best stats on your damaging orb, unlike a character like Seal, where you want crit rate and crit damage on your damaging orb, which is way harder to get. The only difference between Nilu and Kafka, of course, is their pay to win alternatives. Not pay to win in the negative sense, of course. I went for Nilu once I found out her 6th constellation allows her to get free crit stats, which easily made her one of the best characters to simp for as a crit junkie like myself. Kafka's Eidolons don't seem to have the same purpose as a character like Nilu, so she feels a lot more restrictive with how she's built, even at a pay to win level. It's not like you can't build her with crit because you can, but you're missing out on tons of scaling damage over time damage or dot damage for short, and possibly even speed stats on the characters. She also doesn't have crit traces, which makes relic farming a pain for crit Kafka anyways. Dots can't crit, well, at least currently. I say that because the Dendro Archon was a character who on release made that a reality. However, it is truly a shame because Kafka was the character aside from Bronya that got me interested in Honkai Starro in the first place. Min-maxing Kafka will be a huge waste of resin, which isn't a bad thing. Oh, wait, did I say resin? I should have said Trollblaze power. But I love perfecting builds and min-maxing, which is something that doesn't suit a character like Kafka. But in the grand scheme of things, this truly doesn't matter. You can still clear all the contents with this character. I just unfortunately have quantum brain rot. Speaking of mono quantum, which is on the way, is going to change everything. For those of us that have a character like Silverwolf and don't mind using the short queen's team, skipping a character like Kafka seems a lot more probable with the soon release of defensive quantum characters like Lynx and Fu Xuan. Oh, and I guess I forgot, Denheng and Bibitu Lunai is coming. I did get this random relic and this random light code. The last time I checked, he wasn't a hunt character, and he's alongside the little brat. But as for the random hunt light code on my account, I'm sure it'll be used for a certain someone sometime in the future. I mean, I did say that I had a random hunt light cone, but I also do have a random Nihility light cone, so it's not like I can't make good use out of Kafka because I have this light cone that would be suited for the character. I mean, you get a bunch of damage increase towards enemies that are debuffed, which works in her favor because she has a bunch of dots in her kit. You get some effect hit rate for the elemental skill, which doesn't work for the character because she doesn't put any dots on enemy with her elemental skill, so it's kind of useless, but you do get a very strong attack increase, which is a massive amount, and it is a 5-star light cone, so the base stats for this weapon is higher than all the other 4-star options in the game, and even the 4.5 light cone that we'll probably get sometime in the future. And even for the non-pay-to-win options, there is a very strong 4-star light cone, which is considered to be best in slot for the character. Now, of course, I haven't done the math on this, but most of the Kafka community says that this light cone is the best for the character. you do get a very strong amount of damage increases, which counts as elemental damage bonuses for Kafka whenever that enemy has 3 dots. It's very important because the 3 dots or 3 debuffs, in this case, I say 3 dots, if you plan to use Kafka with other damage over time characters. But whenever the enemy has those 3 debuffs or 3 dots, then the enemy will take more damage, or the damage for the Kafka will be much more than it would have been if she didn't have this light cone. So overall, it's a very strong light cone for the character. And at R5, you get a massive amount of damage increases, which totals up to 72% at max stacks. And lastly, Kafka does have a very strong free-to-play option. The free-to-play option in the sense of it increasing the break effect of the character. For a character like Kafka, you'll find yourself breaking a lot of the enemy's toughness bars in AoE situations, which I think will be most of the uses for Kafka anyways. So having a light cone where you can increase the break effect of her, because she will be hitting the enemies with her ultimate, is very valuable. And you also do increase the damage she deals to the enemies that are inflicted with shock or wind shear, which if you use a character like Sampo in the same team with Kafka, you will find a lot of value with this light cone on the character. So Kafka is definitely the best free-to-play character in the game thus far. She has a lot of free-to-play options. She has a very nice 4-star option that is gacha, but you probably will get at some point, and she works really well with virtually any character in the game. I say virtually nearly every character in the game. There are some characters she might not work very well with. And maybe there was a situation where she worked better with a character or was going to work with a character later down the line. But, leaks are something that changes or subject to change, we should say. So there you have it. Kafka is a character I really don't want to skip. Maybe the truth is I have a gun alongside my head and the person behind the gun is telling me to skip the character, and I definitely don't want to have my brains blown out. But jokes aside, she's a character I think many people will find themselves rolling for. Maybe because A, you have mommy issues, or B, you like the playstyle she provides, both of which is very valid options in my opinion. And maybe I sympathize with the latter option because, new playstyles does bring a lot of excitement to the game, for real. So Kafka's banner, I actually did not realize who the characters were in the banner beforehand. So believe it or not, I actually didn't watch the live stream for 1.2. I typically like to be surprised anyway, so I didn't bother looking. But wow, the banner stacked. You get a bunch of nice 4 stars to use with Kafka. Serval, who is really good with Kafka already. Sampo is really good with Kafka as well. I think these two are yin and yang. Wherever you use Kafka, you probably will use Sampo just because he enables Kafka to do more dot damage. He also applies his own dots to the enemy, and then Kafka can enable Sampo to do more dot damage while also allowing him to take advantage of the fact that Kafka can detonate the dots on an enemy. Luca is really good because this character is able to bleed or have a damage over time effect of the physical element, which is pretty rare right now. So aside from that, he is going to be best in slot with Kafka when it comes to fighting enemies that have the physical weakness because of the bleed effect he provides. So these two characters would be really good together. And of course, the constellations you get for all the characters along the way is going to make those characters much more better and have a lot more synergy with Kafka anyways. So this is a very nice banner for anyone that was going for Kafka. I'm very jealous. Thanks for watching and have a nice rest of your day. Peace.